Hi there. So I'm here today to talk with you about a question that I've had recently about building control. So the question is, what is building control and how do I get it? So there is quite a bit of confusion between building control and planning approval. So I'll talk a little bit about the difference between the two. And there are two ways to get building control approval. So I'll go through those. I'm Jane. I am a chartered architect and I'm the founding director of iArchitect. I specialise in helping homeowners of period property with potential turn them into beautiful, comfortable, characterful homes which protect the planet and suit a modern lifestyle. So, thumbs up if you're also confused about the difference between planning approval and building control, and put #replay if you're watching this on the replay. So, first of all, planning control and building control. Basically, planning is just giving you approval for whether you can build the thing or not. So it's the shape and the size and what it looks like from the outside. That is what planning are approving, and also the use of it. So for example, if you're changing the use of the building from, say, a school to a hospital, you have to get planning approval to do that. So building control is controlling the health and the safety of the building and especially any new build works or any alterations. So they will be checking for things like ventilation for healthy air quality, insulation for maintaining a comfortable thermal temperature and preventing mold and condensation, which are health risks. They will be checking for acoustics, which can be a nuisance. If you can hear your neighbours next door, then you're probably not going to find that really satisfying a lot of the time, so that can be a nuisance. They're checking for structural stability to make sure that it's not going to fall down on you and be dangerous. They're checking for things like trip hazards, and this might be, for example, details around the stairs or if there's a ramp. So there's lots and lots of different factors that building control deals with, but fundamentally the difference is planning is giving you approval for if you can build that size in that position for that use and for it to look like that, and building control is giving you approval that it is healthy and safe, and that's the key difference. So thumbs up if that's been useful for you. #replay if you're watching this on the replay, and if you've got any more questions regarding building control or planning, pop them in the comments below. I'll come back and I'll answer them if I can, and if it's a particularly involved question, then might do another live in a future date and answer your question then. So the two different ways to get building control approval. The first one is on notification. So this is the simplest way. Now, at the moment there are two ways. I know that the notification route, there has been some suggestion that this might be phased out. Certainly for commercial projects, you are not able to do a notification route anymore. You have to apply for full plans, building control approval, and you can't do it through notification. But if it's a homeowner domestic work, currently it is still possible to use the notification route. And the notification route is, how that works is the builder really primarily is responsible for for dealing with this usually. Some builders are not up to speed on this and how it works, but those, I would say, you probably don't want to be working with someone who doesn't really know how to deal with building control approval, because they're probably not going to be doing a very good job, or certainly not anything significant. So you need to get somebody who does know what they're doing when it comes to building control approval, and the builder will contact the building control department. These are part of your local authority. They'll contact them and they'll say, we're about to start work on site. and we're going to dig the foundations, and so they'll let the building control inspector know when the foundations have been dug, and the building control inspector will come out and check those footings where they've dug out, and check that before the concrete is poured, check that those foundations are deep enough, that the soil is going to be strong enough to support those foundations, and various other things, but they'll check that that's okay, and then it's okay to pour and it's okay to go on to the next thing. So they'll check drainage and all sorts of different things. So your builder needs to know the different stages to call the building control inspector out, and at those particular stages, building control inspector will come out and check on each detail to make sure that it's safe and it's a healthy place for you to live. So the pros of notification: it's faster. So you can, once you've got planning approval, if you need it, then you can start on site immediately and notify, and then you can just get going without having to wait for the whole full plans process. It also means that you save money on professional fees, because you don't need somebody like me to draw up a set of building control plans. And so those are two pros for it from a consumer or client point of view. The cons of using the notification is that there are some risks involved in doing it. So if everything's not decided up front before you start on site, which is usually the case in notification, then things might change. Then it potentially, your building control inspector might come down and say, actually, that's not good enough, I can't accept that, you need to do it again in a different way, and that can cause you extra cost, and it can cause a delay in the build. So that is your risk there in going down the notification route. I hope that's made sense. If that has made sense, please give me a thumb up. And if it hasn't made sense and you've still got some questions around that, please, if you're watching this on the replay, put #replay. And if you have got any further questions around the notification process, please post them in the comments below and I'll get back to you on those or do a further live about it. So the second way to get building control approval is to submit a full plans application for building control. And to do that, that takes some time. Lots more decisions need to be made. That all has to be drawn and detailed out, and you'll need structural calculations if there's structural changes there, and there's quite a lot more information needs to be gone through. That is going to take time. It takes time to produce the information. It takes time to submit that to the building control department and for them to assess it. They will also be checking, not just from themselves, they have specialist structural engineers who check the calculations. They send it to fire departments to check that it's safe from a fire point of view, so that it goes through a really rigorous series of checks, and then you'll get approval. Or you might get approval with conditions saying, you either need to provide more information about this, or you need to do these things in a certain way. And then, so that's basically how it works. Once you've got approval, then you can start on site. Then you also need to notify them that you've started on site, and they will also come and inspect the work during the process on site. But the inspection fee is slightly cheaper than it is on a notification, but you do pay a separate fee for the full plans submission. So you pay it in two stages. You pay when you submit full plans, and then when you deal with the inspections. Whereas on a notification, you just pay for the inspections, but the inspections are more expensive. So the pros of going with a full plans building control submission are that there are less risks of on-site changes, which can lead to extended time on site, delays, and more cost. Those changes could happen from two reasons: either because you've spent more time making the decisions up front, then there are less changes coming from you as a client or as a design team or from the contractor whilst it's on site. And then there's less risk that the inspector will come along and say, no, that's not adequate and you have to do it a different way, because it has all been approved on plan. So in principle, it's all been approved. That's not to say that occasionally, when it does come on site, there might then be some changes, because you could find you dig down and there's a drain 2 meters deeper than you expected it to be, and other things can happen that you don't realise before you start on site, and that can cause delay, and that can have an impact on what the inspector says when they come on site, because what you've designed and what's actually on site, if you discover something unexpected, that they have to tally that. So that's what they're inspecting for, really, to check both that the work complies with what has been approved on plan, and in case there's anything unforeseen that arises during the construction. So the other pro for going for a full plans application is that having done all that work up front and having got all of those drawings and that extra information, you can then use that instead of planning approval drawings, which have not got a lot of detail. You can use the more detailed building control drawings to get your prices from your builders and so on, and doing that means you're more likely to get a better set of tender returns. Builders will see less risk in it, they're going to give you a better set of prices, because they can see, and also your prices are going to reflect more of what you want, because there's been more decisions made and there's more information there for the builders to price on. They've got less assumptions that they need to make. The cons of using a full plans, there are cons from doing it. It takes longer. It takes a lot longer to make all the decisions, to draw it all up, and to go through that whole process of submitting those and getting approval from building control in advance. So that does take a longer time. And it costs you something in professional fees as well. So whereas with the notification you don't have professional fees to pay, when you're doing full plan submission, then you will have professional fees to pay. Depending on the project, some projects may benefit from the notification. Perhaps if it's a very simple project, small scale, nothing complex, and you've got an excellent builder who knows exactly what they're doing and they know what the building regulations are, they're up to speed and they know how to build to current building regs, then there may be less risk involved with going down the notification period, and it means you can save on the professional fees and you can speed up the whole process by just going for the notification, so you can start on site quicker. If what you're looking at doing is more complicated, has maybe some slightly more design features to it, if you're not entirely confident about your contractor knowing so much about the building regulations, and to be honest, having said that, most very good contractors will want to have a set of building control drawings to build from. They won't want to build from a set of planning drawings. It's not really enough information there for them. So they will want at least a set of building control drawings, and actually they really want a set of construction drawings, which is another level of detail again. So as you're designing, you start off broad brush strokes, sketch design, you get more detail at planning, and then you get more detail again at building control, and then you get much more detail at construction. So it gets more and more and more detailed as you progress through the project. So yeah, that's it. Building control, planning, two different things. And for building control, there's a notification option and there's a full plans option. I hope that has clarified things for you. If you have got any more questions, please put them in the comments below and I'll get back to you about it. If you found this really useful, please give it a thumbs up, and yeah, I'll hope to see some comments from you all. I deal with the full plans process as part of the build package that I provide, the service that I provide, and that is a full complete service that helps you take your project from planning approval all the way through to completed construction. And that's part of that service includes this: getting full plans building control approval. So I love to hear from you. Any comments, please leave them below, and I'll see you again next Friday. Okay, bye for now.